Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So in front of us, we get to take a look at the 2024 BMW M240i xDrive. This model is finished off in Brooklyn Gray Metallic, and the MSRP is just over $57,000. Now, what's interesting about this particular vehicle is that my wife and I actually spec'd this exact model. We decided to go with an X5 instead, but very cool to see this in person. Now, this is powered by a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, sent through that xDrive all-wheel drive system, propelling this 3,800-pound sports car from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. When it's properly equipped, top speed is 155. And as far as fuel economy goes, you're looking at 23 miles per gallon in the city and 32 out on the highway. Now, as we work our way to the exterior styling, still retains the kidney grille, finished off in gloss black. There's a forward-facing camera, as well as all the active grille shutters, which will open to provide additional cooling. LED headlights, there's parking sensors in the lower section, as well as the sensor for the adaptive cruise, and then a small lower section for that spoiler there, and some very nice lines that curve down the hood. So it gives it a very sporty front end design. Now, on the side, this has a set of 19-inch wheels with the two-tone design, multi-spoke pattern, and then the red M brake calipers. There's gloss black for the lower side skirt, as well as gloss black on the power folding side mirrors. There's the camera and the turn signal, sunroof up top, all the gloss black trim for the window accents as well. And then some nice subtle lines down the side, leading all the way to the back, where there's a very small gloss black trunk mounted spoiler. This has a backup camera, all the sensors, and then even more gloss black in the diffuser with the dual exhaust. Now, you can use the key fob, or you can walk up to the vehicle to gain access to the trunk. Just by pushing on the electronic button, you can open this up. Now, this is a 4-seater, but there's still plenty of space. You have a lot of room to put in items. There's a storage net on one side, and then you can even fold down the back seats. So just pull on those tabs, and that gives you a lot more interior storage, making this a very good and practical sports car because you still have all of that room. I also like the flush-mounted door handles for the newer BMW models, and that Brooklyn Gray is also paired with the cognac interior. This also has memory seating controls, power folding side mirrors like I mentioned. There's the trunk release and more storage in the lower section of that door. And then we have the power operated front seats with all of those controls, all the lumbar support too. Now, to gain access to the back, simply just push that backrest forwards, and that seat is going to move forwards to allow you to hop into the back. We're at 5'10". It's actually not that bad. There's air vents in the middle, a little bit of storage right here. You have an armrest, some space for your feet. My head is just up against the headliner. Our intent with buying this vehicle was to have a practical sports car where we can have 2 other people with us, maybe put a car seat in the back. And so I'm actually surprised with the amount of space back here. You can even gain access to the trunk from the back here. So surprisingly great, even with the size of that window there. And then the seat will work its way back once you put it in the upright position. It's also a low car too, so it is easy to enter and exit. We have the solid M steering wheel. Cruise control settings are on this left side with the distance pacing. It's a heated steering wheel too. And then we have volume and tuning, Bluetooth, and voice commands. So let's fire this up. We also have the brushed aluminum paddle shifters too, but we can use these controls now to go through the gauge cluster. So we are going to pull up the content, where you can scroll through all of this, just depending on what you need to see. You can also go into the layout and further change that. And then the last one is for the head-up display. So you have 4 different settings, just depending on what you need to see for the day in order to adjust that. So it's a really easy, simple system to use. Now, on this left side, all the headlight adjustments, there's 1 air vent. And then for the infotainment system, you have a lot that you can scroll through. You can even add widgets too, just depending on what you need to put on this screen. You can get into your navigation, get into your phone along with music, and then there's an array of apps that you can further go into. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, navigation, your climates, all of your lighting. It's a really easy system to use, and you can use all these shortcuts down below to further get into all of this. Now, the lower section is always fixed, so you can easily get into your heated seats along with your fan speed and your temperature and go through all of those settings. Now, underneath that, there's 2 air vents surrounded with all the gloss black, which is standard for this car. We have that on this cover here. Wireless charging, which is an option. You have some auxiliaries and 2 cup holders. And then in order to put this into reverse, we will push that forwards. Where there's the backup camera, there's also a few angles that you can pinpoint, as well as getting into the 360. So that does give you a lot of visibility around this entire vehicle. You can also have that other top-down view. Now, if I put it into drive and push this button right here, that will pull up the forward-facing camera, so you have that in full screen. To use the paddles, go back again into sport mode, and then park is just behind that. Now, there's traction control, parking sensors, engine start stop, and then the different driving modes. So there's Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro. Auto hold and the e-brake are behind that. A little bit of storage in the armrest with an auxiliary, and then a lot more storage in the glove box. All the dome lights are up top, along with the sunshade and sunroof controls, and a good bit of visibility. That's not really that thick of a pillar, and you have a large window there, so you can easily see over both shoulders. And from second gear, here we go. Very mild on the acceleration, but I have been in the Supra to know that this is a quick car. It has a lot more potential than what I'm throwing at it today, but of course, if this was mine, we'd have plenty of content coming in the future once it's broken in. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel of the 240. There are a lot of different options that you can go with for this model. So that's one of the fun things that we had when building this vehicle, what we wanted to add, what we didn't want to add. And there's just a lot that you can go through just depending on what best suits you. As far as some of the options go, wireless charging is an option, adaptive cruise is an option, and there's even some different trim pieces that you can get over the gloss black. So I'll say this is a fairly conservative spec. We really didn't put that many options on it. So you can break $60,000 just depending on what you add to this car. So we wanted to keep it kind of conservative for the most part. Turning radius is also very good. And of course, the different driving modes are going to affect the throttle response. So there's nothing that will change the suspension or anything like that. It's just going to help on that throttle response depending on how you are driving. But this is a comfortable vehicle. It feels similar to the X5, even though it's a sports car versus an SUV. And that's what I like about BMWs. They all have very similar driving characteristics. Of course, they are going to handle differently depending on the model and the SUV, coupe, which one that you choose to go with. But overall, I think the 240 is a really good bang for your buck because of how practical it is with the back seats, which is why I wanted to get one over the Supra, because it had the back seat space. So if you're looking for a sports car, you want something that's luxury focused, the 240 is great. I haven't seen many of these out on the road yet either, but they're slowly starting to trickle into the lots, and people are starting to get their allocations for them. So it's a really nice sports car. And like I said earlier, maybe I will revisit one because this is a nice place to be. That is going to wrap it up though for the 2024 M240i. Once again, huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for letting me take a look at the future spec, possibly for my own M240i, but for this car in general and what it has to offer. Check out their website, give this video a huge thumbs up, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.